Welcome to a Wednesday, a warm Wednesday. It's going to get colder throughout the day, but a warmer Wednesday. Not a bad way to go. Waking up this morning, heading over to the gym in the 50-degree weather. It's kind of nice, got to admit. Not a bad way to go. Packers stock sale is well underway, and for everybody that rushed to get it yesterday, they're not going to sell out, and it's all going to go all the way through February, so you should be able to get your Packers stock. And in addition to that, yesterday on the Pat McAfee show, speaking of the Packers, Aaron Rodgers talks about how he takes slights, things that are said about him, people he can prove wrong, chips on his shoulder. I can only imagine the weight he is carrying throughout this season. I can only imagine it because there's been so much said from the offseason now to the regular season, what's been said about the vaccination situation. I mean, just for a guy that says that everybody, you and I and everybody out there is, quote, white noise. Excuse me. He certainly does pay attention. I've always said, look, if you've ever had a chance to get in a locker room and work a locker room, if you've ever had a chance to do that, guys will tell you all the time, no, we don't listen. We don't listen. We don't pay attention. No, we don't. We don't care. But the minute, usually somebody around them, a wife, a girlfriend, a friend, a relative, somebody in the organization will say, hey, I heard this. This is such and such said this. This person said that. Well, then you're right. They don't listen, but they'll listen to the people who listen. And suddenly it's the end of the world. The sky is falling. I've been slighted. Screw you. Screw everybody. But hey, I'll say this. If it makes the team better, if it makes him play better, if that's what he uses as motivation when he's on the field and he's thinking about, fourth and long and they're on a drive in 2 minutes and they need to score, and all the people that have ever said, he's not good at the 2-minute drill, or all the people that says that, he doesn't take the check down to pick up the first down, if that sits in his head and he accomplishes the task at hand, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I don't mind that at all. Use it. Whatever you need to do, whatever gets you up in the morning, whatever motivates you in the field of play, use it. If the media or listeners or those of you who have had, discussions on the air or with players or whatever, if they use whatever it is you're saying, then you've got power and you the man or you the woman. So go for it. Go for it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Glad to have you today on a Wednesday. Ben, how you doing? I know you're doing both mornings and afternoons and middays, and you're doing everything tomorrow to 6 a.m. or 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. and all that kind of stuff. You okay?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the sun looks like, but aside from that, it's never been better.
Well, hopefully you at least, by the time it's all said and done, you at least get a chance to get outside and see the sun. Go breathe or pee or whatever it is you need to do, and just run outside and take it easy. So Aaron Rodgers with his slights, we can discuss. In addition to that, the Packers back in the practice field. Here's another question. So they lose Aaron Jones for a short period of time, 1 to 2 weeks. 1 to 2 weeks. Now think about this for a minute. If you go look at the Packers depth chart right now, Aaron Jones still obviously listed on the depth chart as their top running back. After that, it's A.J. Dillon, Patrick Taylor Jr. On the practice squad, they have Kareth White. They also have Raquel Armstead. Okay? Those are the two guys they have that are running backs. Would you take a flyer on Le'Veon Bell? Saw he was released yesterday, cut loose by Baltimore. Now, remember, Baltimore, don't forget, they've got a couple of good running backs. They've got Latavius Murray. They've got Devonta Freeman. He was not going to see a lot of reps. And that's a team that, obviously is playing for the top spot in their division. And Le'Veon Bell was not going to help them. You take that with a grain of salt. But would you go after, just as a filler, would you go after Le'Veon Bell, put him behind the line with Aaron Rodgers, use him in situations, even after Aaron Jones comes back, use him in situations. He can be a blitz pickup guy. Would you use him in situations? Would you bring him on? 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Would you bring in Le'Veon Bell? Now, I will admit, Le'Veon Bell, and I've said this for a long time, that Le'Veon Bell ruined his career with greed. Now, he can go home at night. He can sleep on his pile of cash and feel good about it. Okay? But in the grand scheme of things, he ruined his career. He ruined his career. He was averaging about almost 90 yards a game. He came in 2017. He had 321 carries, 1,291 yards, the second most in his career, 9 touchdowns, 71 first downs. He was averaging 4 yards a carry. He was targeted 106 times out of the backfield, 85 catches, 655 yards, averaging over 7.5 yards, couple of touchdowns through the air. I mean, his touches, he had the most touches of his career. And remember, he wanted to be paid like grown-ass man paid. And Pittsburgh said no. So he sat out. He sat out an entire year of football pouting. He was never the same. He rushed for 789 yards on his return for the New York Jets. And after that, he has not played a full season since. He played 11 games for Kansas City and the Jets again in 2020. And he played 5 games for the Ravens this year. That's it. He ruined his career. He got the money, but he ruined his career. He ruined his career out of greed. So he can go home. And by the way, that contract for the New York Jets that he got, that was backloaded. He thought he was going to come in and just rule the world. Rule the world. And nah, baby, nah. Never happened. Never materialized. So would you take a shot at Le'Veon Bell? Because it's veterans minimum. I mean, at this point in time, Le'Veon Bell, this is not like OBJ. And Le'Veon Bell is not getting calls from 7 or 8 teams. He's getting a call maybe from 1. And they're saying, look, we got a bag of footballs. The coach's grass needs to be cut. And we got 2 coupons to the car wash down the street. We got a couple over to the Red Lobster, and we'll pay just about veterans minimum. What do you think? And that's a take it or leave it deal, because there is no negotiation. You have no power. But as a veteran and a guy that, you know what, maybe you find a little bit greener grass in Green Bay for a brief moment in time, because when Aaron Jones comes back, he automatically understands he's your third running back. He's not seeing the field unless it's in a necessity situation. He would understand that. Would you go after him just to maintain the depth at running back? 877-867-1670. Let's go to the phone calls. Talk to our buddy Bruce. Bruce, how you doing today, pal? What's going on, man?
Well, you see, man. Working over here. Life's good down here.
Good.
But as far as your question, no. I wouldn't. No. What makes you? No. What makes you think you would bring Le'Veon Bell? What's he gonna do? Screw everything up too, just like you screw everything else where it was at?
I agree with you. Look, I'm thinking to myself, this guy is just a veteran that if he comes in, he's got a strong enough surrounding with Rodgers and LaFleur and company that he kind of falls into line. Does his job, very quiet, and walks away.
Odell Beckham Jr. is another thing. I don't know about him, but I'm surprised to see Adrian Peterson back in the NFL. What's up with that?
Right? He just keeps churning it out. But remember, that's the guy that tore an ACL and an MCL and came back in like 2 weeks. I mean, that guy's a machine. Le'Veon Bell's not that guy.
I don't know, man. I wouldn't even. No, I don't know. I actually like AJ Dillon, and I like AJ Dillon. I think he could be a good running back if whenever Aaron, his contract is up. I don't know, man, but I like AJ Dillon with them big, strong legs over there. I mean, when AJ Dillon runs, it's hard to bring him down. It takes like 2 or 3 guys just to bring him down.
Yep, I agree. Now, let me say this: Le'Veon Bell would only be a backup to AJ Dillon. He's not coming in to be the ball carrier. That's my whole point. He's just a depth guy.
No, I wouldn't even. Why? Look, Packers are 8-2. Why would you even? Okay, I get it. You're trying to help yourself, but why would you even try to mess with that? What you need to do is fix the special teams. That's what you need to put the money for right now. Leave everything else as is.
Okay, I'm just asking for depth. That's it. Nothing more. Since he's out there, wouldn't entertain that.
No, thank you.
Okay.
You don't need another hot shot guy in the locker room. I mean, as bad it is with Aaron Rodgers, why would you want to add another one?
Mm-hmm. I understand that. Look, if you don't want him, I'm throwing it out there. If you don't want him, I get it. Hey, real quick, Bruce, before I cut you loose, who you got tonight? Bucks, Lakers.
I don't know, man. I've been going back and forth with this Bucks team. I watched the game, but I find myself shutting it off. I can't. This team is just different. I can't watch I just can't do it. I can't watch it. The Lakers, they're just buying their way to like they always do. That ain't nothing new. So,
well, you get the return of Chris Middleton tonight too.
I guess my thing is, I guess if you get COVID, you're screwed either way. You're just going to have to play with what you have. I mean, the last year team was Brook Lopez hadn't even been playing. I know he's got that back issues. I mean, what's with these 7-footers? They're good for so long, but then they go in their wayside over there.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to find. It's hard to find the pieces. It seems like the pieces are gone now. So now you're back at what, 6 and 7? Nah, I don't know.
Well, but here's the thing: is the Bucks they just need to be in that top 4 by the end of the year and then get rolling. You know what I mean?
I'd just be shocked if they beat the Lakers. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, well, Lakers don't have any LeBron tonight, so he's still sitting. But Lakers are still a decent team. Appreciate the phone call as always, Bruce, buddy. Hang in there, all right? There goes Bruce. Oh, he's got some struggles this morning. You can hear some Bruce. I don't know. He's got some struggles. Got some struggles this morning. That's okay. That's why the questions get posed. Look inside yourself. What do you think? What's good for the team? What's good for the depth? What's good moving forward? All that kind of stuff. Good things to think about. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hi to our buddy, the safety doc, saying shout out this morning. Rick as well. Good to you. Craig says the Green Bay Packers do need to fix that not-so-special teams unit. Craig also says, off the subject here, but he's listening in Northern Kentucky, remembering listening to me a few years ago. He said, how many stations have you worked at? And is it the norm for radio people? I have worked in my career. You usually go through like 6 cities. I've been really, really lucky because I landed in Wisconsin back in 99. I worked for the Packers flagship and the then mighty WTMJ for 11 years. I then went over to my former station and worked there 11 years. So I'm 22 years in the market. And coming up at the end of January this year For 1 year, I will be celebrating an anniversary with our flagship station, Midwest Family, based out of Madison. But I still live in the same house, in the same city here in Wisconsin that I have pretty much. Well, I take that back. I mean, I moved like 3 years ago, but I'm still in the same area. I'm only moved a mile from my old home. But yeah, I'm still here. I love it. Not going anywhere. As a matter of fact, I had a phone call that was a what if call. I guess about 6-8 months ago. What if we did this? What if you wanted to do this? What if we wanted to hire you? And it was like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. You'd have to it'd be one of those deals where I asked Bob Euchre one time, we were talking about the Mr. Belvedere thing, and it's a source of, Bob doesn't like to talk about that. But it was when I first met him, and I didn't bring it up. Somebody else brought it up. And I remember Bob saying, sometimes you'll do anything when they back up a dump truck in your driveway and money falls out of it. So that was my response. It's like, look, if you want to pay me and really make it worth my while to say, okay, I'm going to uproot everything and take off, so be it. But chances are you're not. So I'm going to stay right here. And I love it here. This is my home. This is where I've lived the longest of any portion of time in my life. So, I mean, I was born in Ohio. I grew up in Ohio, but I have lived here in Wisconsin, in Brookfield, longer than any place I've ever lived. I'm a Wisconsinite. It is what it is. There you go. Let's do this. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back talking about Le'Veon Bell. Would you bring in Le'Veon Bell? Would you think of it? Would you consider it? Is it something that makes you go, Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Gina Della from Pella and the Title Tones. Game day train, take 47.
I'm leaving.
Leaving?
On a game day train to Titletown.
Leaving on a game day train. What did Gina get us into?
Come on, Leroy, Wayne, Tosh, we can do this.
I don't know, Gina. I'm just not feeling it.
Same here, Leroy.
Yeah, what's our motivation?
Well, with chilly winds sneaking in, Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin can replace those leaky, stuck, and squeaky windows and doors, and we install year-round.
I was thinking more like matching crushed velvet jackets.
Ooh, in green and gold? Oh, yeah. Now we're talking.
Listen, how about if we offered Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin fans 12 months, no payments, and no interest?
Maybe.
Plus 20% off installation.
Yeah, that's more like
Now we're cooking with gas.
But only through November 30th. Set your free consultation now at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply to showroom for details.
woo woo.
Oh, that was good. Good woo woo.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Glad to have you back. Thanks for hanging out with us. Packers get back on the practice field today. We're going to hear from Matt LaFleur. Probably going to hear from Aaron Rodgers at some point. I would assume he's going to do the Zoom thing again. But that's all coming up today. Rob Reichel later on today. The question I had asked is, with some of the injuries, not really a linebacker that's sitting out there that's available. Would you consider, though, if Aaron Jones is going to be down for a couple of weeks, at least through the bye week, and then would be used as depth from here on out, would you consider Le'Veon Bell, who was just released by the Baltimore Ravens? Now, against the Ravens, he has not accumulated much. Not accumulated much. By the way, though, against the Vikings, he carried the ball 11 times for 48 yards and a touchdown, averaging 4.36 yards per carry, his highest this season. Would you bring him back just to face the Vikings? You're obviously going to use A.J. Dillon as your number one by far, but would you bring him back? Would you bring him back? He's got 1 reception on the season, by the way. 3 targets, 1 reception for -1 yard. That's it. So it's not like he was being used. I mean, they've, like I'd said before, over in Baltimore, they've got Devontae Freeman and they've got Latavius Murray, and Tyson Williams now, I think, is their if I'm not mistaken, he's their third back. But would you bring Le'Veon Bell in? 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. What else you thinking? Let's get to the phone calls. Let's go back to them. I got our buddy Denny on hold. Denny, welcome to the program, man. How you doing today?
Good. Thanks for taking my call, Bill. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. What's up?
I wanted to thank you for your show and all the years that I've been listening to you. And I've had buddies that have called and said, what's a good Packer place that I can get some good, honest news and everything, and not all this just advertising and everything, you know. And I told them, if you'd listen to Bill, I said, you'll never go back to whatever you're listening to.
I appreciate it.
And, you know, yeah, you bet. And what I loved about it is you're honest, you wear your heart on your sleeve, and you also tell us when you disagree with something that we're saying, which is, I admire you for that. And I saw Bell was let go, too, and I was wondering about that. And then I was wondering, too, what do you think about Crosby? Or do we have anything to worry about?
I think that the answer is yeah. I mean, obviously he's getting older. He's not over in his 40s yet, though. I mean, remember Adam Vinatieri kicked it till he was, 45, 46, something like that. So I'm not overly concerned. Right. I think when you, and I said this at the beginning of the season, when you get rid of your punter, who was your holder, you're probably going to have a hiccup in your system. And sure enough, they did. Then they get rid of the long snapper, and Hunter Bradley's gone. And then they put in a new long snapper, and Bojorquez is still having some problems. And so that, as a kicker, it's kind of like a golfer. When all of a sudden your whole mechanic thing is screwed up, it gets into your head. So he hasn't been awful. I think this one, the one that he missed on Sunday, that was on Mason. The laces were forward. The process was good. That was on Mason. But a lot of the ones that have been missed, they're obvious that you could see the laces weren't forward, or they were backwards, or they were off, and wherever the laces are, that's where the ball's going to drift. So am I worried? I'm a little bit, honest. I mean, I think I'd be stupid to say no worries at all. I think what's going to happen is they're going to ride it out through the end of the season. They're going to bring in competition again in camp, and they're going to talk to Mason about the process. They're going to try to fix that, and then you're going to see let the best man win come the end of next training camp, and most likely it'll be Mason Crosby, who's been one of the more assured kickers in the National Football League in his career. So I think they'll hang on to him, but it wouldn't surprise me to see 2 or even 3 kickers in camp this year.
And I got another question. Is this a trap game for the Packers and the Badgers weekend?
Yes and yes. I really believe that. I think for the Packers, this is the Vikings Super Bowl. Not only do you want to beat the Packers if you're the Vikings, because they've just had your number, but also you're a game away from 500. You are right now on the outside, almost right there on the edge of the playoffs. If you get this win and you can give the Packers a loss, this is huge for them. So if they get this win, it's a big win for the Vikings, and it really puts them back on track, and then they can start efforting. For the you're looking at a couple more games. You got Nebraska. Obviously, you're looking at Paul Bunyan's axe. You want to retain this. You're on a roll. You're starting to kind of look over that fence towards the Big Ten championship game. And Martinez is a pretty good quarterback, so you can't sleep on Nebraska. I don't think the defense will sleep on Nebraska, but I want to make sure that the offense continues to progress in that right direction. The offensive line has looked really, really good, and Mertz is running with his head up. He's making better reads downfield on the move. So you got to keep that momentum going, and you got to continue to accentuate it. Otherwise, you can fall into that trap game.
Well, thank you very much, Bill. I appreciate that.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon. And, I mean, in the Packers case, you got L.A. coming. So that's kind of that big game that you're circling. And then you're eyeing the bye week because you're thinking, okay, let's just get past the Vikings. The Vikings are up under 500. We can get past this team. No big deal. Let's move on. We'll get that hard-fought game against the Rams. Boy, if we could win these next 2 and get to the bye week, and then you start thinking about it. And you're thinking, okay, this is a win. Just get past this week. Just get back into Monday. Get back into our rhythm. And this is a team that's loaded for you. This is a team that just beat a pretty good Chargers team on the road in LA. This is a team that's kind of circled you and circled these dates, just like the Bears do and the Lions do at the beginning of every season. Mike Zimmer knows if he doesn't get some wins, then he's on his way out. He knows that. He's fighting for his job. He's laying that pressure. He's laying that enthusiasm and that excitement on his team this week. This is a big week for the Vikings. Big week. Packers are in the driver's seat. Packers are the number 1 team right now in the NFC. They know where their bread's buttered. All they got, but if I'm the Packers, I'm looking at it as we can't lose. We can't lose. We cannot lose another game. This game is the most important game. That's the way you got to look at it. Because you got to go nuts. Because if you're going to hang on to that first round bye and home field advantage, you don't have any margin for error right now. You are just that head to head above Arizona. And if you suppose you lose to the Vikings and the Rams, and then you went from the top dog to 4th that quick. Because the Rams will be breathing down the neck of the Cardinals. You know that, and they've got some matchups left. So you're not quite sure who you're going to end up head-to-head with when it comes to the top dog in the NFC. So you got big games coming up. Arizona's a good team, but so is LA, and those 2 teams are going to battle it out to win that division. You want to have tiebreakers against both. You want to have record on both. So it's a big game for the Packers. Just don't overlook the Minnesota Vikings because they have a sub-500 record. Just throwing it out there. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Eric says, can Le'Veon Bell play outside linebacker? I see that as more of a need right now. True, but there's not that outside linebacker sitting out there. That's my point, Eric. If there was, it's a no-brainer. If another Whitney Merciless is out there and he's just been released, yeah, that's a no-brainer. Go pick him up. But he's not. You don't have one. You only can take what's available. You're not making a trade, obviously. So you can only take what's available. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Grab what's there. 877-867-1670. Good discussion today. I love it when everybody gets involved. Phone lines are wide open, 877-867-1670. I had a question that was posed on the morning show towards me today, and I've got it. It's easy for me. When it comes to the Packers and the Vikings, I'll tell you what I'm talking about coming up next in the Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
They don't repair cracked helmets, cracked teeth, or cracked stadium seats. They do repair cracked windshields. Complete auto glass, windshield repair and replacement, windshield camera recalibration, and more. An insurance-preferred service provider with free price quotes and a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Plus, you'll be happy to know you're dealing with a local, family-owned business who understand their Wisconsin neighbors. Complete Auto Glass, repair and replacement. Visit CompleteAutoGlass.com. Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
How we looking? The Bill Michaels Show is brought to you by, presented by, and has been for a long time brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. And we are glad that they're with us. Don't forget, coming up on Thursday, tomorrow, we are going to be at DJ's Goalpost. DJ's Goalpost on Appleton in Menominee Falls. I love this place. It is, when you talk about sports bar, it's all that in a bag of chips. It's a really cool place. It is the epitome of what sports bar is. So good stuff. Good stuff. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. If you are following on Facebook, let me know. If you're following on Facebook, let us know. My buddy Chris is trying to get a hold of us. He says, I can't listen or watch via Facebook. So let me know. Maybe something happened. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Weird. Did we end up in like a Facebook jail or something? I don't know.
They didn't like the feet talk.
You know what? It does say your video was blocked and cannot be viewed by others. I don't know why. Yesterday's show looks to still be there, but for some reason they blocked today's show. Facebook sucks. They just do. Go to you. I've always said subscribe on YouTube. Just go to YouTube. Why? YouTube.com/Bill Michaels Show. YouTube.com/Bill Michaels Show and check it out for yourself. Facebook picks and chooses when they want to shut it all down. I don't know why. But I'll just direct people to YouTube. YouTube is the best way to get the show because it's there every day. Sometimes I think they put like a music restriction on it and it'll catch, there's like an algorithm that'll catch something and all of a sudden, next thing you know, we're shut down. So I don't know. Angela says YouTube all the way, watching there now. Rick says me either, it's gone. So I thought you blocked me or something. Nope, Rick, you're still there, man. So keep going. It's most likely over on YouTube, and that's YouTube and Twitch TV as well. Twitch TV is the other way to go. I was wondering why the numbers were down today, and apparently YouTube right out of the gate blocked us. Maybe after the top of the hour or something, I can reset it and start it over or something. We'll see what happens. But that means everybody loses it. But then again, if you don't have many people on, YouTube watching. So anyway, so what was the question from earlier today, Ben, that somebody had asked?
So, do you remember that segment when we went through some of Paul Allen's best calls?
Yes.
Most namely the Cardinals versus Vikings one that put the Packers in the playoffs.
Right.
So we're going through best Vikings memories. Mine happened to be an NFC Championship game in 2017, but I was with Zach and we're talking about old Packers Vikings bouts with them playing. And we were asked what you thought, like your best Packer Viking memory from your time covering the team, or if it just was the Cardinals one. Then
the one that I'll never forget is the one. It's the number one play on Monday Night Football ever, and it was in a rainy, nasty night, Monday Night Football, and it was the Brett Favre pass to Antonio Freeman. That because I hated Chris Dishman, couldn't stand Chris Dishman. I thought he was just a jag, just a dirty player. He was playing in the second because he played. I can't remember who else he played for. I wanted to say Houston, but I can't remember if it was that far back or not. But regardless, Dishman was in the secondary. He was one-on-one with Antonio Freeman down the Packers sideline. Favre just launched one. And it got tipped into the air. Freeman fell down, and the ball kind of bounced into the air, and Freeman caught it and knew he was never touched. Dishman is kind of jonesing around like he, broke up the play. And then Freeman ran past the end zone for a touchdown and went. And no flags, nobody waved it down. They went back and looked at it. And that is probably the most memorable Packers-Vikings matchup ever for me.
That was Zach's answer.
That was the most memorable one for me. Now, the last game in the old Metrodome, I remember it, but I'll remember it for different reasons. The Packers were playing over there, and the Packers ended up getting beat. But as I'm walking up, we had to go to the auxiliary. It was the first time I'd ever been in the auxiliary press box because I'd always been in the regular press box. And they had so many people there because this was the end of the Metrodome. So all the local media got into the regular press box, and they put myself and Mike Clemens and everybody over in the auxiliary press box. I'll never forget walking up, and as we're walking up to the auxiliary press box, in the stair. Now this was stairs. I mean, it was like it was like you're walking up to heaven. It was just this endless, long staircase as you go up, but you're between two cinder block walls going up to the top of this press box area. And as we're walking up, a cinder block fell out of the wall. And I thought, holy crap, did we have an earthquake or something? But a cinder block fell out of the wall. And when it fell, it crashed down below. You could see through the hole. And it was underneath like the back of the stands, because that's a retrofit stadium. Remember, they could move around the stands in that place. So I'll never forget, the cinder block fell out of the wall and crashed down underneath the stands below. And it just went, and everybody was looking around like, what the hell was that? And I knew what it was because it pushed out right next to me. But it was, they were playing that horn, and it was just, people were jumping up and down, and I guess it just vibrated that stone out of the wall. But I'll never forget that. There's a big hole as you walked up to the auxiliary press box where that giant cinder block fell out of and crashed down below. So those are my two Packers-Vikings most memorable moments. One was that the Metrodome was falling apart and it was a dump. And the other one was the Antonio Freeman magnificent catch. I'll never forget that. We were on our way to go do the post-game show. And we by the way, that was the last time we had a really good returner, because that was Alan Rossum. I'll never forget that. Alan Rossum took the kickoff back 90 yards down to the Minnesota 2-yard line. Prior to that, Amon Green then get into the end zone a couple of plays later. And it was just kind of back and forth between those two teams. And then obviously the big pass. But I'll never forget that because Alan Rossum, he was really the last consistent returner that I think the Packers had. He was just elusive. You just never knew when he was going to break one off. But I remember because Brian Noble and I, who I was doing the postgame show with on the network, we were walking down to, that was before the whole stadium got retrofitted too. We were walking down to our point down by the old players parking lot. And as we're walking around, Brian said, well, wait a minute. Well, let's wait here. So we waited and we were watching because we were waiting. We wanted to hustle down to get set up for the end of the game, but we didn't want to miss the end of this because, you just always knew Favre would do something crazy. And so we were waiting. And then all of a sudden that happened. And Brian was like giggly laughing. He was just giddy that the Packers beat the Vikings, but just in the way it happened. And the place was going nuts, just absolutely nuts. So that's my best moment. And, again, there's a whole story written about it and the call from Wayne Larrabee and Larry McCarron in my ear. You can hear him ringing throughout the building going, here they come, Wayne. And, because you knew, they were going to blitz. It was an all-out blitz. This was the end of the game. And Favre just threw this ball to let Freeman run under it, and it looked like it was incomplete. And then Larry, wait a minute, So, and then off the rest is history. So, yeah, that was the final play of the game. Larrabee yelling, Packers win. I don't believe it. And that was it. That was the end of it. Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break and step back in and get back into some more Packers discussion. Packers are back on the practice field today. Bucks tonight taking on the Lakers. How big a game is this really in reality? We'll get into that discussion as well. We got Rob Reichel coming up later on today. Going to hear from Matt LaFleur today. We've got a lot of good stuff coming up. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show is next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers are getting ready for a road trip to Minnesota to face the Vikings. With Aaron Jones out the next couple of weeks with a sprained MCL, the Packers worked out former Lions running back Kerryon Johnson. The team is pretty banged up, yet still a few weeks away from their bye. Matt LaFleur trying to balance giving everyone reps in practice while allowing the players to get their bodies back.
That's the trick right now. And I think, when we have, I don't even know what week are we going on. I feel like it's, week 11. Without a bye, it does get long.
Last night, the citizens of Door County gave running back A.J. Dillon a key to the city. He spends a lot of his free time there. Dillon says he's getting better at bouncing back after a play goes for negative yardage.
Even when I had a bad game or when I messed up, being able to bounce back, I kind of had that next play mentality. That's something that honestly I wasn't the greatest with. I'm still working on, but, having chances where, things don't go my way and then kind of self-correcting, I think practicing that has helped me, keep building my confidence throughout.
The Vikings are coming off an impressive come-from-behind victory over the Chargers in L.A. Mike Zimmer says he was pleased Kirk Cousins finally took some shots in the second half.
I do think, sometimes he needs to be aggressive with the football, and, I thought he was, especially in the second half. He's got to trust everybody, and, if he has to hum a couple in there and they get tipped or something, so be it.
That's Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer. From Lambeau Field, I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back to the program. Hey, a reminder that our good friends over there at the Water Doctors, H2theletterodoctors.com. H2theletterodoctors.com is the place, and they do a lot of good stuff with custom canines. And I had a friend of mine listening to us up in Manitowoc who said, made a $10 donation. They not only do they have a great water softening system in the Connecticut water softening, I've got that in my house. It's fantastic. But that being said, they also do a lot of good philanthropic work. And if you go to H2theletterodoctors.com, the motto is help us, help a veteran. And those dogs, those custom canines, when you need them for therapy dogs, take about $25,000 per dog to train. And they're awesome when they're trained and they're ready to go and specifically suited to help a veteran that is in need, but they can't do it without, it's a complete donation when it comes to this. So I know our friends at the Water Doctors have been for a while now pushing to make donations to the custom canines, but head over there, check out the Connecticut water softening system. And if you'd like to make a donation, whether it's a couple bucks, $10, $5, $50, $1,000, whatever, help them out. You can help them, help a veteran, as they say. Good stuff. So a couple of different things. Kerryon Johnson's interesting. Kerryon Johnson is interesting because Kerryon Johnson just was never able to stay healthy. He was viable. And I think whether it's him or Le'Veon Bell, whoever you want to work out, you're probably going to get him for about the same amount of money. It just, the question is, who has more in the tank? Who can help you more? So the Packers are out there looking, and I give Brian Gutekunst all the credit in the world. They're out there looking. And for those that say, well, it's a linebacker that you need, I agree. But again, it goes by what's available. It's what's actually out there. So if they think that Aaron Jones is going to be down for a couple of weeks and you're going to want to add depth because you're just not sure when he comes back, And what's a shame about it is Aaron Jones is so good because of his first step and his jump step, because he has quickness. He has that spark. If he loses that, he's not big enough and strong enough to plow forward. He's not big enough to just bust around the outside. He uses his speed. If he loses his speed, he's done. So they're probably saying, look, we may want to make sure that he's 100% before we even come close to bringing him back. So if they say 1 to 2 weeks, chances are it could be 3 to 4. Would they bring him back, say, after the bye week against the Bears? Maybe not. If the run game's good and the further you can hold him out, the better off that'll be. So maybe they don't bring him back right away. Maybe they're looking at a little bit of a longer-term fix or longer-term depth here. By the way, the Vikings today activated Harrison Smith from the reserve COVID list and designated Patrick Peterson for return from the IR. Both are eligible to practice with the Vikings today. So the Vikings are trying to get healthy and trying to get their guys back in just prior to this game against the Green Bay Packers. They're doing everything they can to make this team better and to get themselves ready for the Packers. No doubt. No doubt at all. So the Packers have some options, but you only have so many options available for outside linebacker. 877-867-1670. Phone lines are wide open, by the way. This one is from Jason. Jason says, hey, I think that Le'Veon Bell would not be the correct fit for this team. He's always been about himself. Good riddance to him. Glad he's out of the league. Rick says they're not going to bring Aaron Jones back into after the Bears game to ensure that he's healed and he has fresh legs for the playoff run unless Dylan would happen to go down. See, it's not that I'm saying that specifically, but I look, if you can hold him off because of his size, because of the way he's used, and because of his ability, to be, you get him back. And I agree with that. Got an hour down, 3 yet to go. Hour down, 3 yet to go. Stay tuned. A lot more of the Bill Mike Show. It's coming up after this.